Dear brothers, dear sisters, it's time to come together.
All right, my people. All right, man. Welcome back to another edition of DBDS Live, the most mature podcast pertaining to relationship topics. I am your host, Jamel Lawrence, and we're back. I'm here with my brother, my partner, Ace, Carl, the accountability coach. And listen, Carl, Father's Day has passed. Juneteenth has passed. The presidential debate has passed. But listen, that does not matter because we're back. And whether you're watching on Facebook Live, Twitch, or YouTube, you can also subscribe and hit that notification button. But we greatly appreciate you all for joining us on this wonderful evening. And Carl, man, today's show, man, we're going to press a few buttons. It's going to be controversial, but we have to hold ourselves accountable. And by the way, before we get started, happy belated Father's Day to you, my brother.
Appreciate it, brother. Blessings back to you too. Happy belated Father's Day. So, tell you, it's an honor being a father. So, just not a sperm donor, but a father. It's a big difference. So,
that's what I'm talking about, brother, man.
Yeah, it's definitely an honor, man, to and then see the fruits of our labor with our children growing up and turning into awesome young women and young men. So, yes.
Yeah, man. I mean, I hear you, brother. I mean, that's one of the greatest gifts in the world, man. What else is new with the accountability coach?
Man, I tell you, finishing up this book and just trying to find time to finish, stay on the road, got that going on, but trying to finish up this book, understanding the weight of being a husband. I definitely want to, like I said, so I can drop that this fall, and then the book dealing with divorce from a male's perspective, that'll be probably launching in the spring of next year. Definitely looking to do some more things. I like I said, just working with you and really helping, more clients, getting into a better place. I've got a couple of women, female clients that are, I don't want to put it out there too soon, but I just put it, they're doing some fabulous things in the dating world. I'm just saying they've made the adjustments. They listen and they're either dating someone wonderfully or they're attracting the right type of men. So, and I got several men. I got a couple of guys that are getting ready to get engaged. So it's the work, man. It's real. You got to do it. It's labor. It's labor intense. You do the work. You can attract what you're asking God for.
There you go, man. And I love how you say it's the work, because it makes you appreciate things more when you do the work. It help build your confidence level, your self-esteem. Mm-hmm. And that's amazing, my brother. I just know, based on the upcoming projects that you mentioned, there's some you're keeping on the hush. I also have to give you props, and I'm still reading my copy, the book that you collaborated on. You say you love me, but do you respect me? See that, people? Actually, no, I'm gonna go ahead and put this up on the screen, man. I mean, this book, for those that's tuning in for the first time, is such an amazing book. And I just want to state, man, you shared a lot of different experience, and the brothers in that book provided some great advice. And to those who have not purchased a copy of the book, make sure you go to dearbrothersdearsisters.com, the official site dedicated to healthy and monogamous relationships. I brought that up, Carl, because not too many people are open to sharing what you've been through. And that's one thing I have to give you props on too, man. And I think the book is a must-have if you want to have a better personal relationship. But can you just give the audience a little snippet as to why you wrote that book with those brothers? Like, what was the meaningful force in doing so?
Yeah, because you always hear, and I think, and this is one of the things that I think it's a struggle for the community, and it's not because everything is not completely generalizations, but both parties want to be respected, both parties want to be loved, but women tend to take love differently, receive love different than men, then tend to receive love from being respected, and that's where that collab came from. It was really from males' perspectives, either pastors, they're coaches, a life coach, married, have been married for for a long period of time. So it was coming from experience, and as our sister Natima said, in one of the it's a cheat code for women. Right. It really is. It's a cheat code for women. So they, you really understand how what's in there and how it just opens the door to being able to hear you're a man. And then even for some men who don't respect their own selves, how they can take themselves into a level where they can respect themselves and garner that respect from the woman they're with or the woman they desire to be with, in a positive way, not negative where you're coming in controlling and iron fisting, you're doubting yourself. But
right, no dictatorships.
We don't do the dictatorships, but it gives you a way to come in and understand. This is what you should be expecting, because if you've never seen it and don't know it or don't understand it, you may not know what respect looks like as a man. You just may think, well, as long as she's doing this and this, I'm being respected, and not what it really is.
Yeah, very well said, my brother. And I love everything you stated, right on point. For me personally, just reading off the pages, and for those that are applying these concepts to their life, I believe will help people to understand a man's thought process. And one of the most important factors in which I come from a communication background is the book highlighted a lot about verbal and nonverbal communication, and also the key term respect, on how important that is. Right. So listen, once again, my peoples, if you want to get yourself a copy, just make sure you can go to my brother's website itself, which is right at the bottom of the ticker, www.coachingwithcarl.com, or you can also see that link right on dearbrothersdearsisters.com, in which not only that, but we have a host of other amazing resources, valuable resources. You have yours truly, Dear Brothers, Dear Sisters, Listen Up, another amazing book by yours truly, and my sister, Dr. Peggy Johnson. So just a lot of valuable information, by the way, and that's one thing I could say. I mean, today's show is going to pretty much be about accountability. I mean, and this is the perfect segue, Carl, to discuss today's topic, which is why the red pill community needs to go away. And Carl, before we dive in, what are your thoughts on today's show?
So I and let me do the disclaimer, because I'm not gonna have no filter. But so red pill and radical feminists are both extremes, polar opposites, and they're both destroying our communities. This is why that's one of the things why they need to go away. But red pill has come from the standpoint of the radical feminism. Now, again, I'm about equality. I feel if a woman is doing a man's job, she deserves to get paid the same thing, treated the same way, treated equally. That's not. But when you radicalize something and it starts to cause other issues, this is where you start to see this red pill come. Now, radical feminist movement became about because they were not being treated equally, and so the feminist movement initially was great, and then you had the radicalization of it to do other things, but neither one is great for our culture when you understand that it is non-African Americans driving these things at the forefront, and a lot of people are too blind to see what's going on with that, but it's just causing a bigger divide. So I think this is going to be a good show. I think this is one of these things. Take notes, go back, rewatch the show. For men and women, pull your emotions out of it. And I said it really with DBDS, with our shows, pull your emotions out of the show and listen from a logical standpoint. Because if you pull your emotions in, you're hurt or you're triggered, you may miss something that can set you free from the matrix.
Facts, man. I mean, I know we're an emotional people, but yes, you can't let that override your logic. And yes, Carl, we're going to go there because, as men, we're leaders. Yep. And as leaders, you don't put the cart before the horse, or, for example, blame all women due to your bad relationship experience you had with your ex-wife or you had with your ex-girlfriend. for all the challenges that occurs in your life. But instead, as a man, as a true leader, you hold yourself accountable, you self-reflect on what you can do to become a better version of yourself. Because listen, if you believe all women are like this or good women don't exist, then that's already a self-defeatist attitude, which
Correct.
is no different than the radical feminists out there preaching that nonsense that they don't need a man, when in reality the true red pill is to keep us divided from the powers that be.
Right.
And as a disclaimer to the brothers out there, I know I met with some of you yesterday, some of you red pillars. We're not attacking the brothers out there, but what we are going to attack is the message that how destructive it can be, and to help you change your negative mindset. Because if you change that negative mindset, then you will begin to attract a natural feminine woman, one who is nurturing, one who's supportive, one who is respectful, instead of having this poisonous red pill in your system. So Carl, man, you could have went to the dark side. I mean, before we bring the crew in, you could have went to the dark side, but you chose not to. And I commend you for that. And if you just give me like a snippet, what chose you from not gravitating towards this ideology, which so many men do so?
Yeah, like I said, it's hurt as I went through, and I'm going to discuss some more of one of the topics when we're dealing with
deeper
in here earlier, later on. I just, for me, and I have, having two sons also played a big role, along with my nephews that look up to me. I have a number of young men my sons hang with that call me dad, and I thought about all that, and I'm like, so, if they see me go out here and just start destroying the community, just start destroying women, they're going to think that's logical and real. And so my mindset was, no, I'm a gentleman, and I was raised different. I'm a gentleman. I owned up issues that I had, did what I need to do, but I focused on being the best for me, because like I said, even in the midst of going through my divorce, I said, I'm going to get married again. And so, and I knew every woman would not be like my ex. So that was the mindset. And but see, what I had to do is I had to learn how to vet better. I had to learn how to have, more tougher conversations earlier on.
Vet better, I like that.
And then deal with different things. And that's why I never matriculated over to that side. I didn't need a pill to unplug from the matrix. I did it on my own, and with help, my coach, my therapist, I had quality. And again, I have quality people around me. I don't hang with dudes that are cheating on their wives. I don't hang with dudes that don't work. I don't hang with dudes that don't take care of their kids. That's not even within my first 2 or 3 rings of my circle. It doesn't exist. So having that kept me from really moving on that other side, and looking at it like, oh man, I'm done. I'm burned. I did all this stuff. Nah.
Right. So my brother, man, if Morpheus was right in front of you, pair of sunglasses, right? And he came with you with the blue pill or the red pill, what will you do in that situation, my man?
I would take both pills and crush them, and Morpheus can go back in, and I'm gonna tell him I'm gonna figure out how to unplug myself. So it's just a matter. It's like at the end of the school days when they came out and the guy was yelling, "Wake up!"
Oh yes, I remember
the Lawrence Fishburne, and that.
Right.
But that's what it really is. It's just a matter of waking up out of a bad dream that you're actually living. You're living and breathing that bad dream, but you just at some point in time you just have to snap out of it and wake up. And all the pill is doing is just the pill's not detoxing you. The pill is poisoning you.
Facts, my brother. Facts. Listen, before we bring our guests into the studio, man, I want to give a shout out to our sister, Cameron. Here she goes.
What's going on, sis?
Said,
I love it.
She said, let's go, man. Let's go. Yeah, man. She's ready. She's out that huddle, brother. Look at her.
Perfectly said, Mel. We are not attacking our brothers. We're attacking the message. Huge difference. Yep.
Thank you, my
awesome,
sister.
God. Thank you for sharing your experience post-divorce. Bitterness is not a byproduct of divorce. It's a choice.
Ooh, she's already dropping fire. She's not even on the show. Okay, my brother. So you ready to bring our guests into the studio?
Let's bring these amazing brothers on in, because I know they're ready to go.
Man, you ready for the king takeover, man? That's what I'm talking about. Class in session. So, our first brother coming into the DBDS Live studio. I have to say, man, this brother, man, I had to reach out to him because this is his first time on the show. He is a man with great faith, who's also senior pastor as well as an author, and we're excited to have him onto the DBDS Live studio for the first time. I want to welcome my brother Charles Humphrey to the DBDS Live studio.
Hey,
Hey, my brother,
What's
welcome,
up,
welcome.
brother?
yeah, good to see y'all today. Thank you for having me, man. What a pleasure. Looking forward to the conversation. And let's tell some truth today, okay?
That's what I'm talking about, my brother. So tell the people a little bit about yourself, where you from, and why you're on the show today.
Yes, sir. Born and raised in South Central LA. Graduated from Cal State Northridge with an engineering degree. I actually am a bivocational pastor, so I have a full-time job in environmental field work and as well as pastoring a church along with my wife in the San Fernando Valley. Been doing that for 20 years, moving toward 21 years. We actually started with a college campus outreach and it turned into a church in 2003. So it's been an evolution, seeing people grow and come and change and the whole bit. My wife and I met in college, both in a Bible study faith location, and both serving God, and over time became good friends, then became lovers and got married in '88. So we'll be celebrating 36 years of marriage this year. So
Awesome.
So any talk about these dating streets, I'm like, I have no idea what y'all talking about, but I got some principles. I got some principles I believe we can all adhere to that will help us stay healthy in our relationship. So thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
You're welcome, my brother. You're welcome. Hey, my brother, quick note, just tell the people a little bit about your most recent book that you just came out with.
Yeah, interesting. Thank you for asking me. I wrote a book in 2018 about men, actually. It's called Hold On to Your Raft. And I firmly believe that if we can solve the man problem, we can solve a whole bunch of problems, right? But the second book I wrote just recently, and I dropped this last year in December of 2023, is called The 4 C's of a Brilliant Marriage. And some of it's my story, my wife's story, but the rest of it's based on principle and some scripture. And I really didn't write it to be a Christian book per se, but I can't avoid the Christian principles. But I believe there's principles we can take out the book that really help us to see, to simplify, and I'm gonna say it again, to simplify some of the things that we think relationships take. All the bells and whistles, the list of 50 different attributes that you think you want in a relationship. Like, come on, let's simplify. There are some basic things. If we get these right, I think we have a good foundation for a solid marriage. So the book has been out for a few months, had some good success early. So I'm glad about that. But really the idea is that I wanted to send a message of hope to men and women that you can find the right person, but there are some basic things you should adhere to. And it's principle stuff. It's not super duper technical, not super spiritual. It's not super academic or theological. It's really practical stuff. And I like to stay in that practical space because the average Joe can get this. And I believe we can have some success in our marriages. And for me, the goal is not so much having a long marriage, but having an impactful marriage. So the subtitle is how to make your marriage both radiant and resilient. So we want to be resilient internally, but radiant so the world can see there's some good things here in this marriage relationship. So I'm excited to share that with y'all today. So good stuff.
There you go. And once again, at the bottom of the ticker, make sure you get my brother's book. It's such an amazing read. Put it right back up on the screen. Go out there, support. I mean, anything. We're so quick to invest in Jordans. We're so quick to invest in the PlayStation 5. We don't take the time out to invest in valuable resources. So I appreciate that, my brother.
Yeah, thank you.
Right? Not a problem, my brother. And next, coming into the DBDS Live studio is a mentor. He also has his own podcast, in which I was a part of. Great podcast, by the way, in which he talks about a variety of different issues. I want to welcome back my brother, Captain Lawrence Hunter, to the DBDS Live studio.
What's up, brother?
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here again. Humbled.
Absolutely, bro. I'm humbled to have you back on our show, man. So we have a lot of new viewers start coming into the studio. Tell the people a little bit about yourself, where you from, and why you're on the show today.
Sure, absolutely. So I am a retired police captain from Connecticut. Let's see. As you mentioned, I am I have a podcast. I have 3 podcasts. I kind of broke them all up. One I talk about one I talk about self-improvement. I'm just kind of focusing on that. Another one I talk about about police issues. I discuss body cam footage and controversial police shootings, things along those lines. And the original one where I started Captain Hunter's podcast, I'm kind of more focusing on what we're going to talk about today, men's issues in the state of the Black community. So I kind of broke them all up because people said I was all over the place. So I want people to really focus on what they need. So that's kind of what I am. So I retired from law enforcement, and I just really concerned about our community, the state of our community, where we're going, and how we're going to get there. And I'm looking forward to today's conversation because I am definitely going to be a contrarian about that. I don't think that the red pill should go away, and I'll explain that as we go along.
Different perspective.
But I'm looking forward to the conversation and all that. So thanks again for having me. I got to get you back on my show, and brother Carl too as well. We got to make this thing happen. So thanks for having me.
Appreciate that. That's what it's all about, man. Having mature conversations, no matter what the discussion may be. And I appreciate everything you do for the community as well. We need more brothers out there doing so, just like everyone else on this panel is doing as well. So I appreciate you, Kane. And you thought that was over with? Nope, we have more backup next coming into the DVDS Live studio. Listen, it will not be a King takeover if this brother was not on the show today. He's such an amazing father, the pure definition of a traditional man. And I want to welcome back my brother, my ace, Floyd, to the DVDS Live studio.
Hello, fellas. How you doing? Definitely a pleasure to be here again. I know I'm familiar with Brother Hunter, Brother Charles. Definitely looking forward to hearing what you got to say. I'm here just to learn as much as I'm here to share my experience. Just thank you, guys, and thank you for being here, man. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity.
Oh, absolutely, brother, man. And even though you are a definite DBDS advocate, and we do have a couple of new viewers, so tell the people a little bit about yourself, where you from, and why you on the show today.
Well, I live in California, Riverside County. Beautiful wife. Got married almost 2 years ago. I have an incredible son. He's such an incredible son. And I'm just blessed. I'm really blessed. I've learned a lot in this journey, becoming a husband again and raising an incredible son. So I'm just glad to be here. Like I said, be able to share the knowledge I have and be able to glean some knowledge from our brothers. I'm really looking forward to the show. I'm praying that a lot of people will get help. Some people will get healed so they can have healthy relationships. I do believe that marriage is important. I really love what Brother Humphrey said about having a marriage that make an impact. And that was very proper what he said. So thank you.
Man, that's amazing, my brother, man. That's amazing. So listen, we're going to go ahead and dive right in because it's a must that we get started on these topics. So listen, it feels so good, like I stated earlier today, before we got into the studio, to be around masculine energy, not only to discuss this topic in a safe space environment, but also to come up with some credible advice to our fellow brothers out there who embrace the red pill ideology. And once again, we not are here to attack, but the issue I have personally with some of the red pill philosophy out there is that they group a portion of radical feminists, women who entertain foolishness and disregard a good guy, or they assume that based off their negative experience that all women have the exact same mindset. So therefore they feel that some of them feel that they're superior to other women. Some become very bitter, which I know a lot of men have became bitter, which in my opinion, does not create healthy relationships, but instead creates unhealthy dictatorships. And my brothers who are watching or listening today, please feel free to comment. But before we drop some gems, I definitely want to go ahead and play a quick video. I want to get everyone's thoughts on it, and then we'll go ahead and pivot to our very first subtopic of the show. All right, so here we go.
Like seeing women? Always, man. I'm always womanizing, always sourcing. The more you deal with females, the more you just realize, like, man, they're really not that special.
Also, men are in control of how much food they consume, so men can also get
Well,
overweight.
yeah, it's unacceptable to be fat as a man as well, but it's even worse when you're a female, because at least as a man, you can make up for your lack of aesthetics. Men have to provide value and utility in way more than one way. Women, you guys have one job. Make sandwiches, what more? 2 jobs. Make sandwiches, be hot, 3 jobs, and don't be a whore.
So all you require from a woman, and you think all we're capable of as women, is making sandwiches, looking good, and what was the third thing? Isn't it?
Men almost always want other women. That's just how it goes.
Is that true though? Or do you
Yes.
think when you really love someone that you will just stay in a monogamous relationship?
Monogamy is a lie.
For who?
For men. The guys that sit there and say, I want to be monogamous, 9 out of 10 times they're lying. It's cope. They want to have other women. They just either A, are too scared to admit it, B, don't have the sexual market value to attract multiple women, or C, all the.
I'm not saying that men aren't naturally going to want other women, because that's a very natural thing for men, I understand that.
Yeah.
But it's whether you're going to break your relationship or risk your relationship in order to obtain another.
Man, it's pretty hard to watch. Make sandwiches. She got to be hot. In my opinion, very delusional statement. But nevertheless, listen. For me, man, a good quality woman has substance with multiple layers. And the first subtopic that we are going to touch on, which will be controversial, but here we go. The red pill philosophy. How does it destroy our community? All right. So my thing is that for me, as I stated, he mentioned those criterias, but women have multiple layers. So for me personally, there's no need to have multiple women and risk my well-being in doing so, because number one, I don't have to deal with STEs or sexually transmitted energy. I don't have to deal with STDs and sexually transmitted disease. I don't have to jeopardize my peace in juggling multiple emotions, because at the end of the day, I believe quality will always be better than quantity. But Charles, man, I want to come to you first. What are your thoughts on the video? And how is this red pill ideology, in your opinion, is destroying our community?
Yeah, first of all, the gentleman that you showed is one of those guys that I see like, oh man. Not so much trigger, but it's like, bruh, you missing the whole idea. So and without making this a religious thing, there's a scripture and a principle that says, without vision, people perish, right? And as you've heard it in Christian spaces as well as business leadership spaces. And the idea is that without vision for the future, people will cast off restraint. They'll have no reason to toe the line, walk the straight and narrow, or even pursue anything with any level of diligence. So in the same way, the red pill community has created this space where people feel like, I'm gonna live for me, I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do, and I have no reason to build for the future. Now, as a man, one of the things we should be concerned about is legacy, right? We talked about LeBron James and his son just a little while ago.
Oh, yeah.
And the idea of he opened the door for his son. Whether you agree or not, this man busted his butt for 20 years in the NBA. And he said explicitly, I want to give my son this opportunity to play with me before it's all said and done. So he effectively, whether you agree or not, opened the door of access to his son, which any father would do, okay? And when we talk about this red pill ideology, that there's no future, there's no hope, there's nothing to look forward to in relationships, we have effectively closed the door for any type of legacy building, community building, anything that's sustainable. The things that these guys are talking about, yeah, you can pop around from woman to woman, speak to them any kind of way you want to, and get lots of women to comply with those wishes. But what are you actually building? You're either building or destroying. And I think that this community, the mindset is destructive. It is emblematic of a society that's hopeless and has no vision for the future. So in my regard, I think there's no real value, long-term value I think we can gather some great information, hear how people think and feel, but I think it just speaks to hopelessness overall, that we don't think there's anything better out there than what we have here and now. So that's my 2 cents on.
No, I appreciate you sharing that, Charles. I just want to point out that whatever you put out in the universe, you will attract. And for me personally, it vexes me out so much when brothers don't vet properly or find out what their purpose is in life. Like,
yes, huge.
They make the excuse of these poor choices that some of them make, like leading with their wallet. So when they come up with these excusable passes, they blame everything on women, which is part of the reason why I see a lot of mother and child relationships and not man and woman relationships in the hood, which I believe has a huge negative impact without any proper guidance, as well as wisdom and leadership from a strong masculine man in the household. But listen, I want to next come to my brother Lawrence. I would love to hear your perspective on this. What is your thought process about the video, and do you believe the red pill philosophy is destroying our community?
Yeah, so it's unfortunate that clowns like that. I'm sorry. Yeah, I think it's unfortunate. I think it's unfortunate clowns like that get a lot of the play and a lot of attention. I think that's unfortunate. But I think that to the question of whether it's destroying our community, I think that times have changed so much. And I don't think that people who are outside of the dating market really understand how much it has changed. Now, I was married for 18 years and, got divorced during the pandemic. So when I get back onto the dating market, I didn't realize how much it had changed. I think that Carl can probably back me up on that. I believe he's about to get married, and I believe that Brother Charles has been married going on 36 years. So we can tell you how bad it is, but you really don't know how bad it is. You really don't know how bad it is. And I didn't know how bad it was until I was out there. And so I say that the red pill can be a community that would really benefit people and help men to be exactly what you were saying before, Brother Mel, that we could, really change some lives. We could really emphasize some things. We can learn how to build family structures, relationships. But when you have clowns like Myron Gaines there, or whatever his name is, when you have people like that.
He's from Connecticut, by the way, too.
I just heard that. Yeah, I watched that last night. Yeah, I didn't know he was from Connecticut. He owns properties here. So somebody's renting from this guy. When you understand that, that his message is problematic and it's cartoonish, right? It's a drastic oversimplification. It's made for shock jock kind of vibes. So I would advocate that the red pill could be a bunch of what I would call uncles, that we could get together, men as ourselves in our 40s, 50s, whatever we are, and really try to mentor the younger people. So I advocate, and one of the podcasts that I did on my show was advocating for the professionalization of this space. That means we should have psychologists, psychiatrists, black males, right? Positive people, business owners, whatever we have going on, barbershop owners, truckers, right? Whatever we're doing, professionalize this space. And that's what I mean when I say we can, that's why I don't want it to go away, because if you don't understand how bad the dating market is and how women have changed, then you can walk into a mess. And so when my son, who's in his 20s, when he talks to me, I can counsel him and I can talk to him. But when I entered the dating market as a 40, I think it was 49 or 50 or so, I'm 51 right now. So when I entered the dating market, I didn't understand what was going on. So I'm thinking, man, have I lost my swag? Have I lost my game? I don't know how to talk to women, right? Here I am. I'm a retired police officer. I got a paycheck for the rest of my life. I own my own house, got my car, and it's not enough. It's not enough. And you can think as a man. And this is what I'm telling you, Brother Charles. You don't know how bad it is. You don't, and people can say that, but you don't know how bad it is. So, right. And so I think the red pill really has an opportunity to tell young men how to navigate not only the dating world, but yet get yourself together financially, get yourself together emotionally, heal from your traumas, go to therapy, work on yourself, get in the gym, eat right. That's what I mean by I don't want to see it go away, but I definitely want to see it redirect in the way that we're going. Don't listen to people like Myron Gaines, even though he's from Connecticut. Don't listen to people like that, but listen to brothers who've got some sense in their skulls. That's what I would say.
Okay. No, I could definitely see from that perspective on how you illustrate what the movement can become. But I think personally, brother, the movement got hijacked from brothers such as this Myron Gaines and got hijacked by a lot of other people that are not using it to the fortitude to implement financial literacy for our brothers, or teach our brothers how to vet properly, or teach them how to have a purpose in life before anything does occur. But listen, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to my brother Carl. He definitely has a question. Go ahead, my brother.
Hey, Lawrence, real quick, and I'm going to hit on the dating community out there too. I can come back to real quick question, because I saw where you were going with what you were saying. Do you, and we kind of use the word hijack there, do you think what's happened to red pills the same thing that happened with the initial feminist movement, where that became radicalized? Do you think red pills become radicalized now? And
that's a good question.
Putting them both to the extreme.
Yeah, I would say that they're both to the extreme. I think they got hijacked in different ways. I think the feminist movement really ran out of things to talk about. I think they achieved everything. They think they achieved everything that they wanted to achieve. They've got equity in pay. They're going to college in much greater rates than men. There's nothing else for them to talk about. So now it's just about power and crushing men and some type of revenge type of thing. And I think that what's driving the red pill movement and the hijacking of that, because I think it started off right with the men's rights advocates and all that in the 1970s. But I think that what's hijacked it is social media and clickbait.
Yes.
And clickbait and wanting to, you know, the more sensational you are. This is why Myron's saying what he's saying, right? All you got to do is make sandwiches. I mean, well, come on, man. I mean,
wilding out, man.
I mean, it's wilding out, man. You know, no, anybody who's been married, and I can say this, I've been married, right? You want a quality woman where if something goes wrong, you can actually have a conversation and you tell her, listen, I need you to go handle these bills. I need you to do this, that, and the other. And all she knows how to do is make sandwiches. Well, she's a ditz, you know, and she's not going to be any value to you. And if you watch Myron Gaines, and I did watch one of his episodes either the last night or the night before, he was talking about how his girlfriend was helping him do his podcast, and she was getting stories, and she isn't this sandwich making dummy. She's actually very much involved in his business. So he's saying one thing but then doing another. But if you're a young guy out there and you listen to this, and all you are vetting for is how good she looks without the quality of her character and her intelligence and what she can do to build your brand as a couple, then you're going to be really in for some trouble.
Great question, Carl. Let me just intervene. I mean, everything that you stated, Lawrence, I totally vouch and I can see from that perspective. Do you truly feel that as men, before I come to Carl, that our responsibility in society is to lead by example?
Oh, I definitely do.
Me personally, I think leadership comes from the top down.
Yeah. No, I definitely think that men should lead, and I think that's one of the biggest things that I would suggest about the red pill. I talked about, I think how it should be professionalized with our academics and business leaders. I definitely think that, but I definitely think we got to change directions and stop talking about what the women are doing and talk about what the men should be doing. That's leading, that's protecting, that's providing. Just step up, right? Stop talking about the women, start talking to the men. And then become exactly what we want to see, and that would change. And I think that the women would quote unquote fall in line. I don't think they would have any problem following a leader, but you got to give them something to lead. I believe Brother Charles was saying, you got to have a vision, right? So if you don't have a vision, man, you're not going anywhere, right? Nobody's going to follow you. You're just a guy taking a walk, So.
Yeah, very well said, my brother. Before I come to my brother Carl, man, I mean, I'm going to keep it 100, because part of the reason why certain women behave the way they do today is because they follow our lead as leaders. And that's one of the equations. For example, they dress the way they do because certain men are responding more to that type of way they're presenting themselves compared to a classy woman who was more modest and subdued, for example. I mean, you see it all the time on social media. I mean, these brothers will throw their attention away as well as their resources and energy towards a woman that won't even like their comment. Forget about saying thank you,
Right.
but what even like their comment? And to the red pillars out there, if you are expecting women to change their mindset before the men do, then you're really putting the cart before the horse. Because as men, it's in our nature to be leaders. And once you realize that change begins from the top and trickles down to the bottom, then you'll start beginning to see that dynamic shift back to how it should be as far as the masculine and feminine energy. But Carl, man, I want to come to you, man. What are your thoughts on this topic, and what are your thoughts about the video?
Go ahead and go to Floyd. I'll finish up and come back.
Okay, let's go to my brother Floyd.
Yeah, I'll finish it up.
Gotcha.
Everybody said what you guys said is right on point. I really like what you guys said. I know I myself was kind of heading down that path. I believe it was Brother Humphrey mentioned something about hopelessness. Even though I believe that I had the qualities to be a good husband or to be a good father, it always seemed like I was attracting the wrong type of person into my life, which at the same time, everybody that I was attracting, nobody forced himself into my life. So, I had to take a look and say, okay, what is it about me that's causing me to keep on attracting similar like people? What is it that I need to change within myself or look at within myself if I want to attract someone different? And when I did that, I took time to actually heal, because I had to be honest and look in the mirror that I was not good for myself, and as a result of that, I wasn't good for nobody else. No matter how good of a person I thought I was, or how good of a husband I would make, and all that, but I had to heal because I could only give to someone else what was me, which was like I couldn't show up for anyone from a place of healing until I was healed. I really like what our brother said, that instead of having a conversation about what the woman's not doing, I really believe that what my brother said is so true. What our brother Hunter said is true. I had to heal and then ask myself, do I want to set that same example for young men? Do I want to show a young man what it's like to be in a healthy relationship, a healthy marriage? And as a result of that, I'm raising a 12-year-old, but I couldn't even be in a position that I'm in right now to be in a healthy relationship until I did the work within myself. And now I'm that example for my son. I have a 36-year-old son that I'm being an example for. So, I really like what he said. We have to do the work, and I think a lot of times we avoid that for whatever reason or another. I think doing the work always calls for you to look in the mirror.
Yes.
And a lot of times we don't like the reflection that we see.
Right. Yeah, we don't, man. It's like a hard pill to swallow, man, once you get that reflection in the mirror. So very well said, my man. And that's why I just think that is very important to understand that certain women, and I'm not saying that certain women don't play the part as well as to what's going on, but to blame all women in today's society, we have to just take accountability and fix our community instead of, I believe, chasing after women who are twerking on YouTube or taking consistent backshot photos on damn social media. How about, my brothers, we focus on our purpose? How about we start reevaluating ourselves and stop enabling ratchet behavior by giving our unearned attention towards them? Because the moment you stop rewarding them with relationships or not protecting our seeds, then as I truly believe, we'll start seeing a dynamic shift of change. So, Carl, man, I would love to come to you, man. I know you've been through a lot and you have a lot to say. What are your thoughts on that video? And do you think the red pill ideology is doing more harm than good?
Yeah, like I said, for me, I went through it. I agree with Lon saying about the streets. When coming out of a 20-year marriage, I had no idea what it was like out there. Terminologies, the unrealistic expectations, all the different things that were going on during this time period. So you come out there and you because nobody plans on getting divorced. And then when it happens, you're like, okay, do I really want to be in a relationship? What do I want? You're trying to put all that stuff together. And then when you get out there, you're like, oh man, it's trash out here. It really is. I mean, I'm just being honest. It was really, there were times where I was like, you know what, I'm not even going to do this no more.
Wow.
And again, I'm glad I didn't give up. I'm blessed with an amazing woman that gets it. But I mean, again, but that took me work. I had to do work. I didn't put every woman in the same category. I didn't say, well, all women are this way because the way my ex-wife, how she moved and what she did. No, I didn't take that blanket and look at it. And even the women that I was dealing with, in most cases, it was just a qualification thing. And I think a lot of people hate that terminology, but you're interviewing for one of the most important roles and jobs that you have, what I'm saying, out here. And so is being a person's partner. And so, yes, you need to qualify for that. And I think that's one of the things. So when you look at this video and he throws out this, and again, it's more clickbait and he's running his mouth and it sounds good. But he's the type of guy, he feels like, I got money, I can do what I want to do. I can, and these other guys that are out here, the problem with that is, and this is, like I said, Lawrence, I appreciate the way you structured and saying how it can help, because again, I feel like, and see, this is where I look at it being, since it's been hijacked, it's almost like we got to start another movement and retitle it, because it's it's like having a 100-pound boulder, 100-ton boulder rolling, and it's going, and there's no way you can get in front of it and stop it. It's not going to stop. So you almost got to blow it up to get to stop moving and title it something different. I think that's where we're at this point in time. But it's hijacked. Yeah. So because of that, again, I agree. All the stuff we need to teach men how to be healthy. I remember when Kevin Samuels, like I said, when he first started, he was killing the men. Oh, you need to have a job. This is the type of cologne you need to be wearing, looking at watches, outfits, how you need to dress, how you need to move. And again, there was things that came into play, and people, and it shifted to the other side. But he would still go with men, but it was more clickbait that would get put out there of him saying something about women. But he was telling men what they needed to do, and I think that's where we're lacking. With red pill, where we're at. It's not helping or teaching our men how to heal or be better. You don't hear any of that being taught. So you can't, having them move. And this is why I feel like this is for me saying why it's destroying the community part of it. And again, we've already kind of discussed what we need to do, but there's a lack of showing of what healthy leadership looks like. And I always use leadership. LEADHERSHIP. So leadership. How do you steer her ship when they don't see healthy leadership out there at all? And then it's getting some men thinking they qualify for every woman, and they don't. Right. It's like these guys that are grabbing passports and wanting to run overseas. They didn't qualify here. They're not going to qualify over there. All these women are just trying to take their money over there. I'm not saying you can't find women over there, but you got to do the work. And I will say this. Yes, me finding this amazing, wonderful woman I have was like looking for a diamond in shredded glass. You had to dig through, take the nicks, take the cuts, take the stuff to get there. But all that'll heal. All that'll get you to another place. A lot of these guys are not, and that's why I said when they're not teaching the healing part, we'll talk more about that in the next segment, but they're not teaching what healthiness looks like. and that's a big thing. I think that's an area we can pull in. I think, just us as men, some other men, we can pull in resources. I mean, go travel the country. We gotta be the vocal point, and to drown that out, and allow these men to understand there is an alternative to this lifestyle of talking about you want a woman with a sandwich, because I need a partner. I mean, even at 54, I don't need want somebody who can just make a sandwich, because what?
Yeah, man.
Look, I need you to go to the bank and deposit money. You can't even write out a deposit slip. I need you to go. You know what I'm saying? I'm out the country for business, and I'm like, oh, can you pay these bills? I don't know how to log into the Wi-Fi. What? That don't even make no sense. Long as head, you know what I'm talking about. It don't make no sense that you want a woman who makes a sandwich. No, I don't. I want somebody I can build with. I can't build with a sandwich maker. I want somebody who can take what I have and multiply. I mean, that's the way the Bible talks about it anyway. A woman will multiply what a man gives to her. So why would I want somebody? The only thing she can do is multiply by getting some bread and sandwich meat. No, I need you to be able to multiply what I'm handing you on the other end. So again, it's a clickbait type of stuff, but because of the lack of emotional awareness for some of these men, they think that's real. Yeah. They think that's the way it's supposed to be. And I got to rule with an iron fist. I think it was you, Lawrence, that said, times have changed. Yeah. That was back in the day when women couldn't work, didn't have a lot to say. You might have been able to rule with an iron fist. It still didn't really get you anywhere, but you could have, you know what I'm saying? But that's not working today, because she's going to throw that sandwich at you like you crazy if you decide to go that direction. And that's what you don't want to do that. But some of these guys think that's the way that's supposed to be in leadership. But again, lack of men in the household. We'll say it, the lack of men in the household for the 4,000 reasons why has caused some men to grow up, and if they have not surrounded themselves with other positive men, they don't know what healthy manhood looks like, let alone healthy leadership looks like.
Facts, my brother. Yeah, very well said. Always gems. I just want to add before I come to Charles, and then we'll go back to Floyd. I feel like there's an attack on marriage, and a lot of red pill content creators are encouraging men to not be husband material, and I believe that's been doing more harm than good, because one of the most important factors that DBDS stands for is getting behind brothers to establish healthy marriages, because when you're a unit, it's less stressful when you're with the right woman, and there's more of an emotional bandwidth, especially when you become a parent. That within itself leads to a more nurturing bond between parents and children. But I'll go ahead and pivot back to my brother Charles, man. You had a question. After that, we'll go to Floyd, then we'll get to some comments.
Yeah, Brother Hunter articulated something that really got my attention. He mentioned the social media aspect, and as he was saying that, I was thinking the same thing. We are in a whole different world. Yes, the world has changed dramatically. We've gone from men working in factories, men going to war, this whole digital age. And now everyone has a microphone. And with all respect to my brother with the 3 podcasts, God bless you, brother, which is unheard of, right? You never had as many opportunities to share your voice, to share your thoughts, good or bad, or in between, with the masses as we do today. So you don't have to if you are a musician, you don't have to wait for a record company to discover you. If you're an author like myself or other men, you don't have to wait for some huge book publishing firm to find you. You can put it out there on YouTube, right? So we have what I think is a small segment of people, such as this gentleman that we saw, Myron, whatever his last name is, who have these platforms, have these followers, and have the clickbait, and have the controversial sayings and the things that are going to get people emotionally involved. A small segment that represent those who have money, access, and influence, but they don't represent the masses. And I liken it to the rappers or the Cardi B's and Meg Thee Stallions. They can talk about, making it rain with money. They can talk about getting men and women they want to. They can talk about all these things, but they don't represent the average person in the streets. They don't represent the blue-collar worker or even the white-collar worker. It represents those who have lots of access to money and fame and fortune and resources, and can package and market themselves in such a way that their message is amplified more than the average person. So when I hear rappers say things like, you know, a rapper who's living in a multi-million-dollar mansion still talking about the hood, bruh, you've moved from the hood a long time ago. That's not your message no more. But we hear it as if, oh yeah, he's got street cred because he knows. Bro, you live in Beverly Hills and your kids go to private school. This is not reality. But we're digesting it as if it's present reality, and it's not. In the same way with these guys who have these platforms, and those guys are making money, they're monetizing their gift of gab and their clickbait, and they have this position, but they don't represent the average guy who's worked hard, gone to college, done some self-reflection, had some heartbreak, and is still trying to figure out how to make the relationship things work. So I think we're listening to people who don't have the narrative of the masses. They're the extremes, as you mentioned before, and they are really not representative of the average guy in the street that you see every day. I don't know these women who are in BBLs and and long lashes. And I don't know these chicks. I may see them in cities somewhere. I live in LA and I still don't know where they are. So anyway, I just think we're listening to a lot of rhetoric from a small group of folks who are monetizing their voices and these talking points and just trying to build momentum and stay in the limelight. That's my 2 cents.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are worshiping celebrities more than they're worshiping their faith per se. I mean, some of these people see celebrities as their god, to be honest with you. I just think when it's this extreme, because I think radical feminists and the red pill movement as of now, like both movements have been hijacked. They're really two sides of the same coin. You know, you might as well say, you know, to the brothers out there that's been so hurt that they just want to hook up or manipulate women, you might as well say they don't need it. They don't need a woman. Just like these women say they don't need a man. I mean, it's really two sides of the same coin. But Floyd, you wanted to add something to this great conversation as well?
Yeah, I really like what my brother was saying. It really made me think about something. He was talking about privilege, and I think we have to ask ourselves, based on what we say we want, or the type of woman that we want, do we have the right to ask for that if we're not in the right place to give to that woman what we want from them? You know, and I think, I think a lot of times, like you was talking about this one particular guy that's talking, he's not, like you said, for him, it's all about clickbait. He's not thinking about the damage that he's actually contributing to the dividing, pushing us further and further away rather than closer together. I think, and I know that conversations like this that we're having is exactly what we need to have as men, because, you said something earlier, no one is coming to save us. As a matter of fact, is it a deliberate, orchestrated attack to purposely drive us away from each other. So all the people that we've been looking for to help us, they haven't helped us. So we have to have conversations like this. I think when I was going through my divorce and I was starting to date again, I had to ask myself, the person that I went into my marriage is not the same person I'm coming out. And I had to ask myself, as a result of me being in this marriage, being hurt, going through what I went through, how am I coming out of this marriage?
Right.
And then the thing is, who do I want to be in my next relationship? I could not even answer that question until I first was able to say, wait a minute, the person is coming out of this marriage, it's not a healthy person, it's not a happy person, it's not a whole person. And so I had to really, really tell to myself, yes, I may, like my wife I have now, I had to do the work. I didn't feel like I was entitled to her. I felt that I had to earn her by doing the work. So when I showed up in her life, I was able to be for her what she's been for me. And I couldn't do that if I didn't do the work. I think there's a lot of men out there that's just been hurt. They've been damaged. They've trusted women. A lot of the brothers, are just hurt. And so I think once you really do the work and heal, you will attract the right person.
Right.
God is not going to send anybody into your life that he may know is good for you if you're not good for them.
Very well said, my brother. Thank you for sharing. And listen, I mean, the Red Pill brothers out there. I mean, if we can rename the movement or change it, it can definitely be a beneficial for our community. But we got, I mean, this is the King Takeover. We got a lot of comments. First, I'll bring up the first one right here from my sister Cameron before I pivot to some comments.
Oh, this is awesome, Carl. Thank you for sharing your experience post-divorce. Bitterness is not a byproduct of divorce; it's a choice.
Okay, we got that one already. Okay.
Wilfrey said, Charles, the red pill mentality is not that of vision and legacy driven.
Okay.
I'm so glad, DBDS, that you're acknowledging this. I've known my ex for 8 years, and I've watched him deteriorate as a man from consuming red pill content. I had to be done for good because he became unreachable and was tearing me down. He was obsessed with manipulation. He even once told me I needed to earn him. He always felt inadequate as a man, which caused him to turn to this ideology, and it couldn't be helped, no matter how loving I tried to be.
Oh, sister. Okay.
Made that mistake. I fell for a guy who was a red pill swallow. After 9 months of being with him, I finally called this quits. I saw that our relationship was one-sided. Everything had to be about him. He was too bitter towards his ex. It honestly felt like he was paying revenge, but on me. I won't lie. I'm still, I guess it should be, I still love him, even though I decided to move off of him. Now I could really use some advice on how to completely move on and stop missing him and having this anger towards him.
See how it's a vicious cycle.
Yeah, I mean, biggest thing I have to say, just forgive yourself and forgive yourself, and you know, if you need to go to therapy, go to therapy. But that's the biggest thing. Forgive yourself. Stuff happens. We all make bad choices, bad mistakes. Forgiveness is you're forgiving him. You're taking accountability for yourself, and move forward. You'll get over it. Trust me, it's going to happen. Just takes time to do the work. Don't try to date somebody else until you have moved past that, because you'll end up bleeding all over them.
And not only that, but you'll attract the same person in a different body. We don't want that to happen to you, my sister. Next one.
The red pill isn't about changing the world. It's about changing yourself, accepting the world as it is. Simping yourself to love one woman will get you hurt.
Red pillar. Go ahead.
You basically will have a rude awakening, because naturally all women do not embrace monogamy. Once the money dries up, she will leave you. Why do you think women divorce more than men? It's because they're not loyal. That's what hypergamous women do, but not all women are the same. They all have different experiences. And
let me see if I can find the rest. I'm sorry, I can't find the rest. He continued typing, but he's a red pillar.
Let me try to defend that brother if I can. Let me try to defend.
Okay, go ahead.
I told you I was
I'll pull it back in this comment.
I told you I was going to be contrarian here. So
that's okay.
So I think that I think that there is some merit to what he's saying, that you have to change yourself. You have to accept yourself. You have to understand the world that you live in. That's what the red pill is designed to do. It's to wake you up, whether it's politically or whether it's towards the state of actual relationships and women. You have to become aware of what is going on, and you should not operate in the world of fantasy. Because as I was growing up as a young man, they told you, okay, be nice, hold a chair out for a woman, do this, do that, right? All this type of stuff, and it does not work in today's time. You talk to people in the 80s and 90s, they don't understand this. And, I'm not a spring chicken, but they don't understand that the world has vastly, vastly changed. I have been with, or not even just in dates, but just in a grocery store holding a door open for women. And they would say, oh, man, I don't need anybody to hold the door for me. Wait a minute. I'm just a nice guy holding a door for another human being. So you have to, so the red pill, I think, is saying you have to understand the world that you live in. And yes, you have to adapt to it. There is a point where you should not become bitter. I absolutely agree with that. You have to, you have to stop with the point where you become bitter. If you're sabotaging relationships, and if you're trying to become manipulative because maybe you make a little bit lesser than your woman, or this other type of talking points that they have, then you need to watch it, and that's where it becomes dangerous at. brother Carl and I have both came out of really, really long-term relationships, and we had to adjust to the way that the world is. And as Carl said, he had to go through a lot of glass, a lot of roughed up fingers, a lot of mistakes to figure out how to navigate this world, and then eventually find the woman that he wanted. So I think, and I hope that that's what this brother is saying. Figure out who you are, figure out where you want to be, heal from your any past traumas, but also recognize the world that you live in and understand that the things that worked for me 18 years ago ain't gonna work today. They ain't gonna work. and that's a hard pill to keep the pun going. That's a hard pill for people to really understand and swallow. It's a hard pill that man, I can't just take a woman out to eat. No, 1/3. I just wrote an article for Medium. 1/3 of women admit to going out on dates just for free food. Now think about that. You're trying to go out to try to meet somebody, and they are admitting, had no interest in this man. I just wanted a free meal. There's other people, and this is where the red pill comes in at, is right where people can really come in there and they can talk to and get stories, right? Because you think you're just like some guy in Connecticut who's dealing with this, but you meet somebody in Pennsylvania, somebody in Atlanta. Wait a minute. You've been ghosted. You took a girl out to Red Lobster. You took a girl out to Olive Garden, and she said she was too good for Olive Garden. Wait a minute. I'm going through that too. So that's where I think the red pill has a point. We need to figure out what's going on, and so you can move accordingly. And so you have to be wise with your money, because you can spend a lot of money chasing these ladies and messing yourself over and becoming more bitter and saying, okay, all I do is get ghosted. All I do is I take women out. They don't want to call me anymore. They just use me for dates, and that can make you bitter. And that can make you, traumatized. So now next thing you know, you're talking about all women in a certain type of way. So I think that we can collect stories, connect, and then figure out a different strategy that is going to help us to move forward in a healthy way. But the first thing you got to do is be healthy yourself. I hope I made sense.
But here's the thing, Lawrence, I want to jump right in on this though. But there's a huge difference between a good guy versus a nice guy. There's a huge difference between a man that pursues a woman versus a man that chases a woman. I think when men, and one thing I don't disagree with what the brother stated, I'll pull back up his thing, is because what we're all trying to say is that when a man builds on his purpose and works on himself, he doesn't need to chase. He will automatically be a magnet for the right woman to come in. And just to prove my some of the young men that I coach, including some of my, some of the men I coach, they have used it, not staying strategically, but they have changed their mindset. And now they are purposely in happy relationships because that builds healthy boundaries. And classy women find that very, very attractive. And number two, healthy boundaries does equate to vetting properly. If you vet properly, damn right I'm not going to take no woman out to no Cheesecake Factory if she's not going to be appreciative about it. You'll have more of a different set of lens to detect which women are the ones out there are the users, the ones to avoid, and which ones are out there that are the classy, modest women that will see past you just as long as you're not leading that as a wallet. But I see what you're saying. I just think working on yourself changes that perspective, which hasn't at all been working since the test of time.
I definitely think that people should work on themselves and become self-centered. And I'm making a difference and distinction between self-centered and selfish. Self-centered says that I center myself, I'm becoming self-aware, and I learn how to vet, and I learn how to talk to, maybe we have a few conversations on the phone before I decide to take you out on a date to see if you're worthy of my time, my money, and my attention. So I definitely think that that's the case. And I make a distinction between being a nice guy and being kind. And I think it's a death knell today to be a nice guy. If you have been called a nice guy by a woman, you have been insulted. You have been insulted.
Right.
You can be kind. You can be kind to animals, kind to old ladies, kind to your brother on the street. But do not be nice, because a nice guy doesn't speak his mind. A nice guy will just go along and not try to hurt a woman's feelings. And as you said, Brother Mel, you have to stand on your principles. And if the woman don't like it, listen, here's where this is what I make, and we go to Cheesecake Factory. You like it? No, I don't care how fine you are. We ain't going.
I had to reject some of them too before I met April. I had to reject some of them too. And you know what? They respect me for that.
Right, and they will respect you for that. But the nice guy will say, "Okay, well, listen, I'll go into debt. I'll do it. I'll come to." No. You could be kind, but do not be nice. If you've been called nice, you have been insulted.
Floyd, you like to add something to it? Very well said, Lawrence.
Yeah, what he's saying is so true. I think a lot of these guys, they find themselves figure, well, if I just keep on spending, eventually I'll attract the right person. But then you're gonna keep on spending, and you won't keep on attracting the same people. I think it also has to do with really asking yourself, what is it that I'm really, really looking for? I think a lot of times what we say we're looking for, we really don't know what we're looking for. I think the only way you know that what you're looking for is to really spend time with yourself and really go through that list of things. In this relationship, I got hurt. Okay, why did I get hurt? Oh, what are some things that keep on popping up in all these other relationships where I keep on getting hurt? I think what my brother said is so true, because you're going to keep on spending. When you understand what your morals are, what your standards are, what you're looking for, and it's no longer about how much money I can spend to get with this person. It's like, wait a minute, I'm looking for substance. I'm looking for someone that's going to add to my life. Someone that's going to be respectable. Somebody that's going to be kind. Somebody that can have a conversation. Somebody that generally want to see me win and be at my best. But until you know exactly what it is you need, because oftentimes what we're looking for, what we need is two different things.
You got more to say, my brother Floyd?
No, that's it.
All right, man. I appreciate that, brother. Yeah, absolutely right, man. I mean, that's very well said as well, man. I mean, it's very important, and I think this is where we can hopefully just re-hijack the movement to teach our brothers to know how to vet properly. Because again, leadership comes from us. If we continuously, and just keep in mind, technically, the ratio of women is more than us. It's like 10 women to like 3 guys out there. But if it's still these same brothers thirsting after the same woman and becoming bitter, then it's not going to change the dynamic of shift. And we have to just really start looking inward to ourselves in order. It's like the department head. This is why I say leadership is so important. If the company's not doing well, the department head, they're going to eliminate. They're not going to fire the workers underneath that department head, right? They're going to replace that department head with more capable hands to lead that company in the right direction. And I feel as men, the men that just keep on saying, like this brother saying, sipping and loving one woman. Listen, I sip all day for my wife. And you know what?
Right. Your wife.
I'm in a better position before I met her. Because the right woman will amplify you. She will push you to a higher level. And I think the true red pill is the illusion to keep us divided. And I think that's where a lot of brothers are missing out on these opportunities, in my personal opinion. But Carl, go ahead. You want to say something before we go to a commercial break?
Again, this is one of these situations where I think for many men that go through relationships, the first thing a lot of men do is they decide they want to run out and they want to go sleep with somebody. They want to go out and do, they come out of a relationship when they're hurt and stuff like that. Men need to learn to detox.
Okay. Men
need to learn to take time to themselves. And I get it. And trust me, it was crappy out there. I thank God I'm out that cesspool. It's terrible out there. It's not the same. It really is hard. And I mean, there's and again, even with that comment, there is some things in there that are viable. But the thing is, the thing for me, like I said, I had to take time and look inward to myself. I had to grow. I had to be my best version of who I could be for somebody else. But I also took time to learn how to vet better. I thought about things from what didn't I ask before I got married? What didn't I look at? And now those are questions I added and asked. And see, so if you continue to not add that stuff to your repertoire, you're not growing. And this is one of the things and again, I'm not saying all men, but a lot of men do this, and they think he is, if I just go ahead and do the way things were in the 60s and 70s, and like Marshall talked, evolving, you have to evolve, and that's not a problem. But again, instead of being a person that says, "Hey, I want to do this," I go back to the qualifications. If you want to take a young lady to the Cheesecake Factory and she's like, that's beneath me, you're not qualified. Then she doesn't qualify to be with you. You don't qualify to be with her. It's not the end of the world. Stop, pause, revisit, and go back the other way. It's like I tell these men, you're jumping on all these women's pages and you're good morning, beautiful, good morning, beautiful. You're telling to 35 different women. You have no standards. You have nothing to stand on. And so, I always tell people, do away with the OnlyFans pages. We want to sit there and wonder why they're asking all this money. Do away. Stop promoting OnlyFans pages. Stop paying to see this stuff. Stop watching your porn. Whatever, all this stuff. Stop liking all these different things, and we're going to start to change. But it's going to take leadership from the men to shift, because we talked about how can I follow a leader who's unwilling to serve and go first? See, like I said, being in combat, I didn't send those junior people in front of me. It's not what happened. I went first. It's part of leadership. So if we want to change to take place, it's going to take men doing that. It's going to take leaders, helping to fix a lot of this stuff out there. Again, it is horrible. It is terrible. I don't know how we got here. I don't know if somebody planted a nuclear bomb somewhere and it went off and we just the radiation fallout from it.
Right.
I'm just keeping it real. I don't know what to say how we got to this place where it's just nobody wants to communicate. But we're not supposed to be alone. We're not supposed to be by ourselves. We're not supposed. And again, you gotta heal to get back into it. It's just like when I hear men talk about. I'm saying this when we go to commercial. But when I hear men talk about a woman's body count, but yet you're out here sleeping with every woman, contributing to the body count.
Right. Make it make sense to me.
You're contradicting yourself. You are your own oxymoron, and then you're mad. But if you're out here sleeping with 5 or 6 different women in a week, what does that say about you? See, a man that can control his body is more of a man than a man that can't. I don't care how much you can go out there and procreate and have children. It doesn't make you a man. Nick Cannon is not a man. I'll say it on here. He's not a man. Why? Because he can pay the bills for all those kids? He's not a man. He created 7 single parent households. But if he had no money, he'd be on blast.
Yeah.
But he gets a pass because he's got money. Just keep it at 100. So we have to stop making excuses as men and saying, well, I got taken advantage of. It happens. God knows it happens. But you need to step back and say, why did I get taken advantage of? Why did I fall into this trap again? Why did I have to do better this time? What am I doing? And that takes emotional maturity. That takes emotional awareness. That takes self-awareness. And again, it's not easy to get there. But just like we can get on the basketball court, the football field, the track, the baseball field, and put all that hard work in there. We can do all that, go in the gym, all that energy we can do that to be the best looking we can be, all that stuff. We got to be working. We got to be lifting weights in our brain. We need a commercial.
Okay. Listen, about that time. Listen, we are talking about why the red pill community needs to go away. This is DBDS Live. Don't you go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Contributed a chapter to an anthology. I got it in the mail this morning, so it means it was probably delivered yesterday, but I saw it today. Look, I already done read this much. Okay, don't judge me. All right, some of y'all get distracted by foolishness. At least I'm reading. Okay, look, this For my ladies who are dating with purpose, for you who are working on yourself and you looking for a man who's working on himself, this your cheat code. This your book right here. You need this book right here. When I tell you they giving us all the goods, they spilling all the tea in this book. They telling us how to love them, how to respect them, how to be their peace, how to be their safe space.
So many people are calling for police reform, and so because they're calling for police reform, they may not understand that there are many organizations who are already responding.
And I feel like you have to really get to know people, see if they share the same core values of you as you before you get involved with them.
I want to ask a question as to how we got to this place right here, where mask wearing, where COVID-19, where public health is all politicized. I really want you all to think about this. How did we get to this particular point?
It's really a nice balance when femininity and masculinity can mix together and just create this awesome, experience.
Living off your sleep, and you're not living off.
Jamal Lawrence, author, relationship advisor.
One of the DVDS Facebook group.
Gift of family, the gift of love, the gift of family.
I don't think that's the case. Yeah, welcome back to the DVDS live studio. I'm here with my brother Lawrence, my brother Charles, my brother Floyd, and my DVDS brother, the accountability coach Carl. And we've been talking about why the red pill community needs to go away. This is such an amazing discussion. I don't want it to end. We can carry this discussion all the way to Monday, all the way to the 4th of July, my brothers, if you want to. But this is very much needed in our community today. But listen, we're going to go ahead and go to the next subtopic, which is very important. And that subtopic is mature, healed men don't need a pill, right? So I'm going to pull up this ticker here. Boom. So, my thoughts on this is that, I truly believe that every mature man goes through an evolution, like my brother Lawrence stated. And when he self-reflects and do the work, and I feel like surrounds himself with like-minded brothers, just like we have right now, he can learn from. And, I truly believe that mature men, they wake up and they do the work every day because they understand that life is hard. But they also understand that they are 100% responsible for the choices they make in their lives. And they accept failure to achieve their goal, because that is a net positive towards their goal that they're focused on. They don't go around mostly blaming their shortcomings on all women who they select in their lives in today's modern society. And I believe hurt men from circumstances, related to failed relationships further amplifies their bitterness to the point that if they do come across a good woman, they may miss out the opportunity to build with one. They instead become a soldier in this gender war that is going on today. So, Brother Lawrence, I just want to come to you first. We all experience some relational pain in our lives, and that's just a part of life. But did you actually go through this phase after a bad breakup? And or did you went ahead and take advantage of doing the work yourself before you put yourself back out there? And also, what steps did you take during your healing journey?
Yeah. So I think from my own personal experience, I think I'm still in that place of healing.
Okay.
I think I'm still in that place of healing. Now I tried to get out there and try to, try to tough it through. And Carl said it right. You need to detox and really try to get, your mind together. And I think a lot of times men try to power through and don't think that we are as emotional as the ladies. And I think that was a mistake on my part. But I do think, now I'm going to take the statement very, very literally. It says mature men. So I would say that those people are probably 35 and older, and healed, mature, healed men. So healed mean that you had some type of trauma and then you've gone through some type of healing process. And I think that mine is actually, I think that the red pill actually helped me. I think that the red pill helped me to realize, helped me to wake up and figure out what the world is today. And that's really the analogy that the red pill is, the red pill being versus the blue pill from the Matrix movies, which I don't care what anybody says, were not as good as everybody says they were. I don't care what anybody says. But I do think that the analogy was definitely correct, that you need to recognize what is going on in the world if you want to move on. But I do think that you need to be mature, recognize the place that you messed up in your relationship, what you did right, what you did wrong, and take accountability, responsibility from it. Get the healing, be it therapy, being it just time, taking time to detox, taking time to cry. And then after that, I don't think that there's a problem with leaving the red pill behind. I do think that you need the red pill to understand what the world can tell you today, but I don't think you should need it for the rest of your life. Where it becomes a religion almost, where you just can't function without it. You just want to beat women up, and you want to that, as we talked about before, is just a cartoonish way of looking at it. That's not being mature, you know. So.
Yeah. Brother Lawrence, I appreciate your insight, my brother. And may I add, from my defining or definition of the mature men in this context, I understand that for me, I mean, at the moment of my horrible breakup, at first I did not know how to cope with it, but going to my therapist at the time, Dr. Hope, before I met April, he made me realize that pain can become your friend. Because when pain becomes your friend, it actually drives us, or at least drove me into, to taking a different action. And that different action was working on myself, which produced new results. And that's all a part of self-reflecting. But when pain becomes your enemy, of course, you're going to gravitate towards a set of beliefs, such as Myron and everybody else, to give those particular brothers the excuse as to why that particular situation occurred, and you become a victim. You're not a victor, you're a victim. And then it leaves you with these negative feelings towards all women, towards love, towards relationships, towards marriages. I mean, I believe that's a recipe for disaster. But Floyd, as I mentioned earlier, that women have a part to play as well. And we do live in a society where masculinity and marriage is under attack. You met Patience, my brother. I'm sure you had some hurt. You mentioned earlier in the show you went through some breakups and so forth. But what steps did you take to work on yourself instead of, possibly embracing the full scope of the red pill ideology?
One of the things I did was I took a long time just by myself, because I was dating a few people, but I wasn't really in the place where I needed to be good for anybody. So I had to take time off and really sit my butt down and say, wait a minute, if you keep on going down this road, you don't keep on running into the same situation over and over again. When I met Patience, actually, one of the things that I was really working on was my relationship with God. And it was like, I'm not going to bring anyone in your life, even though I know in your heart this is what you're looking for, but you're not ready for what I have for you. And so I had to really sit down and really look and say, wait a minute, because either I can do it my way or do it his way. I already know what doing it my way got me, and so when I really sat down, I said, okay, I'm going to surrender to it, and I'm going to trust the process. And I like what Lawrence said. Sometimes we think that healing happens in an instant or a snap of a finger. But even after you get involved in a relationship that you love and care about, there still might be some things, some residue that you're still healing from, you're still recovering from. But I think when you're mature enough, you also understand that, wait a minute, even though there's still some things I need to, that I'm still healing from, but I'm healed enough and healthy enough to be in a relationship to appreciate what I have now. And it's like my wife, this is the funny thing. My wife, literally, God spoke to me and said, this right here is a gift from me to you. And so it's like, in order for you to be the best version for her that you need to be, you have to constantly be working on yourself. Because this right here is literally, this is what I'm handing to you. And you have to take care of what I'm giving you. But again, I had to put myself in a place where I was honest enough to really say to myself, these, and I think a lot of times as men, we're afraid to admit that we're hurt. A lot of times we're afraid to admit that, yes, I'm hurt. Yes, that hurt me. That hit me to the core. That hit me to the heart. And I think we have to be willing to admitting that you put yourself into a situation, you pour your all into a relationship, and it didn't turn out the way that you expected. You have to be willing to admit that you have to be willing to admit, like I think somebody said, pain is good. Pain lets you know that there's something wrong. Pain lets you know that there's something that you need to take a look at. The more you ignore the pain, the situation not going to fix itself. You have to say, yes, this hurt me. And I think for me, I had to really go through that whole process and cry and weep and why me and forgive myself. Oh, I was so stupid. I saw the red flags. I opened the door. I should have slammed the door in the face. Why did I keep on opening that door again? And it's like I went through that whole thing where I had to say, yes, right here was my fault. I could only be accountable for the role that I played in it. And I had to totally remove her out of the picture and just deal with me. Once I did all that, then I wasn't even looking for my wife. I wasn't even looking for her. And I met her in the middle of COVID. And I was at the right place at the right time, right state of mind. My heart was in the right place to be able to appreciate the gift I have right now. But I had to do the work. Yeah. I had to cry and weep and slam the door and throw a glass or two. And like I said, now I'm in a place where I really like what Carl said. I understand now what it really means to be a service to someone, because I'm with someone that don't look at what I do as well, this is what he's supposed to do. She allows me to be who I was created to be, quite naturally. And I think when you're with someone that allows you to be what you are naturally, it's a good thing. It's a good fit.
Very well said, my brother. Man. And just to pivot back to that previous comment when the brother stated that not all women are loyal. See, I use disclaimer certain. I don't use the word all. But please believe, man, that like you having patience, Floyd, when you do have the right woman, to me, marriage is freedom, because that person is choosing to be loyal to you. She has the free will to be respectful for you, the free will to be loyal to you, the free will to communicate to you in a respectful manner without you even have to demand it. That's true freedom in a relationship, So thank you for sharing that, my brother. Thank you. Yeah, man, I just lost my train of thought. Who I haven't come to, man? This show is so great.
Yeah, Charles.
I'm having Alzheimer's right now, man. Who?
Go to Charles. Brother Charles, go ahead.
Yeah, my brother back. Yeah, Charles, man. I'm gonna come to you next, man. I mean, just tell me within yourself, man.
Yeah.
Like, so far as like a lot of people go through some damaging times in their lives, it's part of life. And some people just have not gone through that healing journey, and some have. But do you think, Charles, that this happens way too much in our community, as far as the red pill ideology? And with your expertise, what advice you have for men who may have find the red pill ideology attractive? You know, just like Lawrence stated, you know, he said that also he part of it, not all of it, but part of it he did find attractive towards it. But what are your thoughts on that? And do you think that's helpful, or do you think that certain men need to take a different direction in order to heal?
No, actually, when Lawrence was sharing his story, what came to my mind was the grieving process, right?
Okay.
And I think that for many guys, and I think Lawrence can articulate this, that red pill mindset of they're all no good and this is terrible and oh my gosh, that's part of a grieving process. Now, thankfully, he didn't stay there, which means it was a process as opposed to, as he said, you don't want to stay the rest of your life. So let's say if he got divorced at age 45 and he's at age 65 and has the same mentality, he hasn't moved on from that place, right? And,
Gotcha.
and that's dangerous. But to go through a process where you have the denial, the anger, the bargaining, the depression, as Floyd mentioned, throwing stuff against the wall, crying all night, those are part of the process. And imagine if you lost a loved one, lost a son to a tragic death. Maybe your son went to the doctor and the doctor did malpractice and your son died. You're blaming the doctor. It's your fault my son is dead, regardless of what takes place. You have to get to a place of some place of peace with yourself to move on. Not that it's easy. And I think that hurt that men go through, and we've all gone through at different levels, that hurt you go through is going to thrust you into a place of self-reflection, of blaming somebody else. If it wasn't for them doing this, and this, I wouldn't be here. And it's woe is me, right? And so the progress that we need to make is, okay, after I blame everybody in the world, let me look at myself. What contribution did I play to the process? What part did I play? And then what do I do with it? I remember this teacher was on YouTube and she talked about kids in the inner city and how they have a tough lot in life. And she said, so what? And she kept saying, so what? So what? What are you going to do about it? Okay, you don't have the silver spoon. So what? You don't have the money like the other kids have. So what? What are you going to do to take advantage of the situation and to take control of your own destiny as much as you can and not become a victim to the circumstance and make yourself a victor over the circumstance? So I totally agree with what Brother Lawrence said and how he put it. And even other brother said this whole idea that, yes, the hurt comes, but now I have a choice. And I'd like to say that we should recognize reality. So I do believe that it does shock us into reality. Oh my God. And I hate the all or nothing narrative. So let me just say that it's not all women, all men, but we have experienced hurt by a number of women. And as a result, now my eyes are open. This is how reality is. Okay, now that I know how reality is, let me adjust. Just like in basketball, they're doing a zone defense now. I need to have a different game plan. They're doing man-to-man. I need a different game plan because what I was doing the work before is not working now. So let me do some outside shooting, put it in the paint, whatever it needs to do so I can make progress and overcome. And so in this case, there's some reflection. I heard about the reflection you guys made. I heard about the actual responding. And as we all know, you can react to something or respond to something. Knee-jerk reaction sometimes gets us in trouble, but if we take what's going on and analyze it and respond appropriately, not blaming the other person, we can make a better choice and make a better decision when it's all said and done. So I do think it's part of the grieving process. And my prayer is, as Lawrence said, I don't want to see guys stay in that place of always blaming women. It's their fault. Women are now making more money. It's their fault. Women are now having bigger jobs and bigger positions. It's their fault that I'm in a situation. At some point, you got to say, okay, what cards do I have? What is my play in life to be better and make better choices? I cannot continue to blame the white man, the black man, the red man, the woman. I can't blame everybody. At some point, I have to take some agency and say, there are some things I do have under my control. I'm going to use them to the best of my ability to make some moves. So, the blame game is just, Carl said earlier, when he's counseling a gentleman and he's always saying, They're the reason why I got divorced. They're the reason my kids don't like me. Bro, okay, what did you do? I always go back to the source. What did you do to add to it?
Very well said, my brother. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. I mean, we all been through some hurt. Point well taken. And I believe that when you do go through that healing, whatever the case may be, that does make you more sufficient as a man. You know, you can't keep on, whenever you point fingers, 3 fingers is being pointed back towards you. You know, every time you just blame other people. Carl, man, before after you, Carl, I'd just like to pull up some comments, man. This King Takeover is pretty hot, man. But you know, what are your thoughts on this particular topic? I mean, you've been through a lot, Carl, and what advice you have for the brothers out there to begin their healing journey who has similar experience as you have? Because like you said, you had to get cut everything to find that diamond. You went, man, it was tough.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate you guys too. All your comments, your feedback. It's like I said, we're gonna help some people tonight. You know, I think Floyd touched on it earlier. You know, healing never stops. You know, I always tell people that healing never stops. You know, if you have a wound, you know, it's constantly healing because that's not natural for that way that you have a major gash or a bullet wound, all these different things. It's not natural for that to happen and occur to your skin, your flesh. So it's always healing on the inside. You got some healing on the outside, it gets done. And if you happen to rip the scab off early, now you got to go back into it again. And that's what happens when you jump out there too soon. The ideal thing is to get healed to enough that you can be in a relationship, into a healthy relationship. That's where we got to get to. One of the other things too is, you know, I remember when I was going through, you know, I was told, man up, or I was blamed for somebody stepping out the marriage. It was my fault, you know, these types of things. And so, and this is not a norm. Like I said, I don't like to make a statement either, but a lot of times when the marriage is successful, it's the wife. When it fails, it's the husband. You know, in doing counseling for 20 something years, you hear this and it's like, no, it's not all the time, but both parties play a role. You know, everybody plays a role in relationship ending, you know. And so for me, well, I'll say this first. One of the areas I think we struggle as men, we're not allowed to be emotional when a relationship ends. And this is coming from other men saying, oh, you just being weak, or you're not supposed to cry, or you're not supposed to be upset. You're not supposed to be hurt. You're the man. Just go out there and get somebody else. And what you end up doing is dating the same woman in a different body, or you end up out there destroying women because you you weren't allowed to grieve. You know, a divorce is death. People don't realize that, because if you're especially a long-term divorce, you're becoming one, and now you're ripping. So just imagine if you took 2 pieces of cardboard paper, 2 different colors, red and blue, and you super glued them together. And when you tear them, there's a part of each one is going to be attached to the other one. You've got to now get that residue off of you in order to heal and move forward. And a lot of times as men, we don't have the avenue. I always tell people, I got into coaching because I didn't see anybody that looked like me. There was nobody to help me. I'd go in and it was like, what did you do wrong? And I was like, what you mean? You know, or you're a man, why are you here? And this was other men and stuff. There was nobody like me out there. And I was like, this is crazy. So as I started talking to other men, just like I think Mark said earlier, you know, how the community formulates when you start talking, you know, another man in LA, guy in Miami, and all y'all have similar situations. You know, I saw that. You know, I was in a marriage helper group and I saw other men and they were going through the same thing. And I was like, okay, I ain't by myself. That was a big help for me because I understood I wasn't the only person going through this. I wasn't the only person losing my mind. You know, I admit I went through depression. I admit that there was a point in time where I wanted to just end it all for me. I didn't even want to be here. I can admit those things. You know, I don't think people realize 3 out of 10 men that go through a divorce commit suicide. That is a statistic that a lot of people struck over, and a lot of times it's because there's not the resources or the care for the man. He's an afterthought many times when there is a divorce. So we talk in relationships, same things, having these issues. So for men, take the time to yourself. And if your circle or group is telling you you're weak for being emotional and crying, or you sitting in the house and you ain't shaved and took a shower for 2 weeks and they jumping on you, I mean, if they're not doing it in love, like they're encouraging you, like, brother, come on, let's get in the shower, we're gonna take you out, we're gonna get you out there. That's one thing. But they telling you you're just a punk, you're a sap. She probably doing. If they're doing, those are not your friends. Take them out your circle. Take them out your circle. We have to choose better as men, because in order for us to be better men, we have to have better men around us.
Facts.
In order for us to be better men, we have to have men who, just like I said, if you want to be a married man, you can't hang with single dudes.
Right.
I'm just keeping it real. I mean, if you're single, do you want to be married? You need to be around some married men so you understand what marriage is about. Everybody thinks, they look on TV and think that's what marriage is. No, it's not. It's tough. It's work. It's work every day. You got to get up and choose to love that partner every single day. You got to choose as a man to get up and want to serve your wife every single day. You got to choose to want to get up and sacrifice for your family every day. Headship has major responsibility. Whether she makes more money than you are still the headship in that house. And there's responsibility that comes with that. But because we don't heal or we don't get the right information, when it goes wrong, we want to blame the woman. We want to blame somebody else. And then we get into this toxic side, and as Lauren said, stuck in the red pill environment instead of maybe using it, opening your eyes and seeing, okay, how do I vet better? How do I look better? How do I understand better? And BBD said it best: never trust a big button to smile. I mean, they put that out there, in the early 90s, and they said it, and nobody listened.
Right.
So
I was trying to listen.
You trying to listen, brother.
I did my best, but
it'll get you every time. But but for real, and I look at it too. Tammy is she's definitely the prayers I prayed for. And again, I don't have a problem saying this live, because I don't care if my exes or whatever don't bother me. But she's done more for me in the 8.5 months we've been together than I got in 20 years of marriage, without me asking for anything. So understand what I'm saying. Without me asking, she does. I don't have to, but I show up for her in the ways that she's needed me to show up. But I tell you this: if I didn't do the work, I would have destroyed her.
Right.
I would have hurt her.
That's deep.
And she would have felt a certain way about all men, because I'm supposed to be, quote unquote, one of the good ones. So imagine if I was, quote unquote, one of the good ones, but never really did the work and was just surface work, not deep down in the belly work. I would lose. I don't want to say, I can say the woman of my dreams, but I would lose God's ordained person, imperfect, imperfect person for me. That's what I want to say. So, and that's what I think a lot of times is happening. We fail to do the work and then jump into a relationship and realize we're not ready. And so instead of sitting there saying, hey, you know what, I need to take a break for a second, because I don't want to lose you, but I need to work on me a little bit more. And I believe that's on both sides. Men and women will not do that, because I believe your partner, if they really care about you, will wait for you, because you're living your truth if you sit there and do that. But instead, what we do is we keep sitting there trying to do it, and we just ended up cutting, and we ain't doing the nicks no more. We're just cutting ourselves, and we're just bleeding all over our partner, and eventually they walk away. So now we have another damaged person back out in the community. And what we all say, hurt people, and those hurt people turn around, hurt somebody else, and it continues, and it's a vicious cycle. So yeah, I think when you mature as a man, you get to a place of healing to date and you become awakened to what's out there, you have to adjust your strategy to attract what works for you, attracting that partner, not the women
leading
that are
with your
looking
wallet.
for. Yeah, I mean, if the first thing out of a woman's mouth is, well, how much do you make on the first date? Just walk away. Walk away. Split the bill and walk away.
If she calls herself a bad bee, she won't even get that far.
So I mean, I'm just saying, yeah. So we have to be conscious of those things. As men, we have, just because she's beautiful or she's got the hourglass shape or she's the slim thick or she's whatever it is, she got a BBL and that's what you into, whatever it is, just because she has all that stuff doesn't give you the right to ignore the red flags. And I think sometimes, and as men, we got to stop trying to save every woman.
Yes.
Because some women, as you're trying to take the water out of her boat, she's putting more holes in it. And so you have to make sure you're with the right person. And that's where you got to come out these different environments and surround yourself with it. And if you're having, what's the last thing I'm going to say? If you're having trouble finding a woman and dating, just different stuff, you may need to change the arena you're dating in.
There you go.
You may need to go different places. So, but yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, very well said, my brother. Man, everything you dropped on is gems, man. Before I come to Floyd, so he can make a quick comment, because we do have plenty of comments coming in. I do not want to leave them out the conversation. Yeah, Floyd, just share your thoughts quickly, and we'll go ahead and get to some comments.
Yeah, man, everything that Carl is saying is so true. Everything that everybody said is so true. I think for myself, if you don't do the work, I think a lot of times we talk about red pill, whatever, men feel like, I need to be with this woman. Really, it causes you to become the very thing that hurt you, that you're going to turn around and hurt and use that same pain and hurt somebody else. When you really spend the time and you heal, you look at yourself and say, something, just because I've been hurt, and I figure, well, something, if I'm dating 2 or 3 people, that lessens the chance of me getting hurt. That way, if this person's over here jumps, I still got 2 that I can go through. But if you're honest, and if you're really, really, really doing the work, it's going to cause you to really say, something. This is a very selfish move that I'm making. Just because I don't want to do the work to heal, to be able to open myself up for that one person that's gonna be able to give me the love and the attention and the time and the respect that I'm looking for, I'm just gonna go ahead and spread myself across, because I'm too afraid to get hurt. So let me just 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. And when you really look yourself in the mirror and you really see how ugly you really are, and you are willing to look at yourself in the mirror and say, man, I don't like how I look. And as long as I continue to act like this, I like what Carl said, I'm going to be just another guy. Potentially, this woman may have been good for someone, but not just good for me. I done messed up somebody that may have been good for somebody else, because I'm so selfish that I don't want to heal myself. So now guess what? I create a female her. I create a male her. So now she's gonna feel the same way I feel about every other man. So when the good guy come along that could really give her everything that she's looking for, she's gonna remember how I treated her last. And so, as men, I like what Carl said. Being a man is the hardest, most challenging, but the most rewarding thing you'll ever do. But it's not gonna be. It's not supposed to be easy. I don't know who.
That's so true.
Who told you that being a man is supposed to be 1, 2, 3, magic wand, find a lamp. It's
This
growth.
ain't Aladdin. It's not Aladdin, brother.
This ain't Aladdin. It's growth. It's looking at yourself in the mirror. It's constantly, as you're growing older in different stages of your life, you're constantly reflecting. How am I at 20? How am I at 30? How am I at 58? How am I at 60? Because you're going through different stages in your life, and you have to be able to address it and look at yourself realistically at every stage that you're at in order for you to become that man that you say you want to be.
Man, very well said, my brother. I'm just gonna pull up a few comments because we are nearing the end of the King Takeover, and I'll pull up this first one right quick because I did promise some brothers, even though their perspective is different, but I want them to be involved in the conversation too. Let's go to the first one.
I love this topic. I don't represent the red pill ideology, but they do have some valid points. For example, why men treat divorce like a funeral, but women treat divorce like a graduation.
Ooh, that is an excellent question. I'll come to you first, Lawrence. You want to take that question? I'll come to you, and I'll go around.
I've never heard that saying, but I've definitely seen. Okay. I've definitely seen it. And yeah, so they say that I think Carl alluded to this, that that going through a divorce is like losing a family member. It's like going through a divorce. It's like going through a death. And I know that it can be devastating. I think there are some ladies I know who are really truly devastated by their divorces. It's not always, obviously we're not dealing in absolutes. But I think that it has become. Again, this is the red pill. Think about what we're talking about. We're talking about the realities of modern day dating. And I do think that if you look at Tia Mowry and others who are celebrating and having divorce parties, this is not something new in the last 2 years. I can remember when I was still working at the PD, there was a lady who had a divorce party, and this is 2002, 2001. She had a divorce party. So this, so, and I think that the answer to that is because they are, they think that they've graduated and they think they hit the lottery, right? Because now they get alimony, child support, they get half his pension. So I think that's something that they want to celebrate. I think that's, probably a drastic, simplistic answer to it, but yeah, I think that that's what goes on. They just look at it as, listen, I didn't have to do anything. I slept with this guy for 5, 6, 7 years, and now, I know a guy, man, cops go through a lot of divorces. And so there was a guy who worked almost we call them extra duty jobs, right? We would work a full 9 to 5, or, whatever it was. And he would get out of work, and we would work midnight shift from 10 to 6, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. He would get out of work at 6 a.m. 8 a.m. he would be at what we'd call an extra duty job. You see cops standing by the side of the road. We call it extra duty. Some departments call it private duty. And he would do that almost every day. He bought and paid for his house, and when he got divorced, his wife got the house. This woman had a free house. And he had to pay child support, and he had to give up half of his pension. Now you think, is that something to celebrate? It is if you're a woman. It ain't if you're a man. Right. So he lost his wife. He lost half of the relationship as far as time with his kids. He lost the house that he had fully paid for. He bought her a car. She was a stay-at-home wife. So yeah, he gonna treat that like a divorce. I mean, like a funeral. This is a red pill reality, and this is I think that this is actually the good part about the red pill, is that we got to understand what it is, not just about the emotions of a woman, but what you're dealing with the legal system. And you have to recognize that when you sign that piece of paper, or even if you decide to cohabitate, you are putting yourself into a position that you can be taken advantage of by the state. It's one thing. Yeah, we all want the princess Cinderella. I love you. You love me. Let's spend the rest of our time together. But I think we started off the conversation by saying the person that you marry is not the person that you divorce. That person is a completely different person. Right. And so so the red pill, I think the part of the positives of it is saying you need to realize that. because you can't go into this thing blind and, with puppy dog eyes and just believing that she is sugar, spice, and everything nice. No, in a divorce proceeding, she has the ability to take this. Of course, it's the state that's actually doing it, but you got to understand that, and so you got to protect yourself. And the red pill is saying protect yourself emotionally and protect yourself financially, because I know I was very blessed. I'll leave it off here. I was very blessed. I didn't, at 51, like I didn't lose anything. I didn't lose my pension. I didn't lose anything. But imagine losing half of your stuff at 50 years old, and you got to start over. You got to start. You got to buy a new house. You got to buy a new car. You got to start saving for retirement in 20 years or 15 years, 65, 68, whatever. You got 18 years to start building up all the stuff you lost. That is not easy. And the technology has changed. Times have changed. Education has changed. Man, that's crazy. So the red pill, again, the positives is saying, slow down, understand what this is, and then take the time to protect yourself.
You know what, Lawrence? Now that I can totally agree with as far as the legal system is concerned, and where I believe the red pill should be represented, that portion. One thing I just totally disagree with is the simple fact that they lump all women at the same. And that's definitely not correct, because everyone have different personalities, unique experience that they going through, and so forth. But that portion, yes, the law, the legal system, you working on yourself, those are portions that I can get behind 100%. Definitely. I just want to come next to Charles, man, just based off this comment from this brother.
Ooh, that's heavy.
I mean, that Lawrence definitely has some valid points.
Lawrence broke it down. Broke it down. Thank you, sir, for great perspective. I heard a saying recently that men don't fear marriage; they fear divorce for all the reasons that he said. So getting married and falling in love and doing all the things, but to have the thought that I will lose everything I've worked so hard for is a death blow to your ego, death blow to all your hard work, everything taken away from the court system when fighting for child custody. I can see that being a divorce situation. I want to ask a question, and I'm going to ask Carl to back me up if he has stats, because he's a stat man. I know that the stats say women tend to divorce more frequently, in the 80% range or whatever, these days, because they have options or they're unhappy, whatever, where in the old days they were more tied to the marriage relationship. Is it true that in the old days women tried to keep the marriage together? So the guy's cheating, he's at the bar, he's out there at the strip club, he's doing all kinds of things, and she's still trying to fight for the marriage to stay together or for the kids. Is that still a thing, or is that, because I think that my takeaway from this comment was that the women are celebrating being divorced because they're freed from a larger burden or undue burden that they carried in marriage. That's my thought. Ask if you can validate or not validate that commentary.
Real quick. I think for some that may be the situation. It's definitely not a lump thing. I remember going through mine, and again, mine was all in the wrong, but. And our divorce was actually on her birthday, so she chose not to move it, regardless of how our children would feel, and had a birthday divorce party. Wow. So again, you have some that do it, that are in the wrong. You have some that do it because it's freedom. I still think it does give a bad look. I mean, you see people put divorce signs, like you see graduation signs or Happy Father's Day, Happy Mother's Day, these yard signs. People have happy divorce day in the front of their yards. So everybody looks at it different. I'm not going to knock anybody. I mean, you got to go through what you want to, but I mean, I'll throw this stat out there. We can keep it moving now. One of the things that people don't understand is when, out of the divorce, so it's 80% of, well, let's put it this way. It's 70% of women filing for divorce. African-American community, it's 80%.
Oh, wow.
And if she has a degree or a tier 2 degree, a master's, it's 92%. So that just gives you those are not my numbers. I got those from the divorce legal system. That is not made up. You can Google and look them up. one of the other things too that you understand, out of those divorces, like I said, most men who get divorced and remarry are remarried at 88% clip, and those men their marriages are lasting. The women filing for divorces are only getting married at about a 11 to 13% clip, even though they're saying they have options out there. This is not a knock. This is just numbers we're talking about. We're talking about graduation funeral. Because I always ask, well, why are men's second marriages working more than women who than the graduation? I guess we want to say women's second marriages, because they actually have a 76% divorce rate. 76% divorce rate on second marriages for women. So, not saying they're primarily the problem. It's just like, where's our disconnect, and how do we fix this disconnect?
Can I ask Carl a question? I'd like to get Carl's opinion about I think it's Nigeria or Kenya. You probably heard of this, that they just got rid of the 50-50 automatic 50-50. Anyone in the panel, I don't remember if it's Kenya or Nigeria, but they got rid of it. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I believe it was Kenya was the one that got rid of it first. Nigeria is going to it next.
Right.
But to me, well, it's like you got a few states in the country here in the U.S. that get ready to do away with no fault. If people realize, when they went to no fault or irreconcilable differences, California was the first state to implement it in 1974. When they went to that, the divorce rate went up by 600% the first year.
Wow.
So when they went to no fault, irreconcilable differences. So taking that off the table, and again, I'm going to say this, and I think all of us up here are going to agree to this. As nobody telling nobody to stay in a relationship with a habitual cheater or an abusive person.
Of course.
And nobody, I don't think any of us sitting up here talking about that at all. But I think sometimes when you look at, reasons that people give for divorces, and I was actually at a counselor's conference, and the therapist was talking about it, and they said, out of that bulk of women that filed for divorce, they said about 72% of them regret the divorce and wish they would have worked things out. So these numbers are Google friendly, or you could ask Alexa or ask Siri. Oh, that's it. That's too loud. My phone might kick in. But yeah, you could ask one of them. But those numbers are out there. But again, I'm not saying that they're the primary issue. There's a disconnect, and I just don't think overall we're taught how to be married.
Right. Correct.
Right.
No resilience.
Yeah. Floyd, right quick, do you want to add anything to this question from this brother before we move on to the next comment?
I think what Carl said is very, very good. I think we have to we have to create our own narrative as to how we want our marriage to look like, a relationship. I think for so long, when it especially comes to our people, they have told us how we should live, how we should act, how we should treat each other, the level of respect we should have each other, how we should treat each other when it comes to our marriage. And I think, like Carl was saying, years ago, we're staying married, and as time went on, now you're looking at, like Carl said, 80%, 90% divorce rate. And again, I think when we begin to understand, it's not by accident. I think sometimes we think this is just happening just to be happening. This is by design, to purposely have the men out of the home, have the women feel that they don't longer need a guide here. And look what's happening, where a lot of young men don't have that core or that leadership there. A lot of those young girls don't know what to look for in a respectable man. So then the cycle continues. So then he gets out of the house and he has multiple children, she has multiple kids, and I think, we have to say to ourselves that we are going to take control of this. We're no longer going to say, this is, we're going to allow you to tell us what's good for us. We are the ones that have to have these conversations. The women have to hold the other women accountable. And so, And I know that's rough, but at the same time, you know, you can't be afraid of losing your sisterhood card or getting your card revoked.
Facts.
You know, you had to be willing to say, look. And I think with more women that have gone through divorce and they realize that it didn't work, if they would begin to create a platform and say, look, let me tell you the truth. I would have preferred to have stayed married, because now what I thought was my trash is somebody else's treasure.
Very well said, my brother.
You know, and
All
so
right.
we have to. These conversations are good. It's so imperative that we bring the conversation back to us.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. Very insightful, my brother. I'm going to take a couple of more comments, then afterwards we'll take one commercial, then we'll pivot to our Jerry Springer moment. Next one right here.
How should we feel DBDS? Men have emotions too. Like they say, a man will put his happiness aside for his family, but a woman will put her family aside for her happiness, like Tia Mowry. Yeah, we just kind of went over that.
Yeah,
I'm a man, but been hurt a few times, having my kids wrongly taken away. But I do believe that the unevenness of our fingers on our hands prove that not all women are alike. There are good ones out there.
Okay.
There are. Definitely.
Yeah.
Great idea, Lawrence. We need to address the red pill mentality from a professional perspective. That's my sister Cameron.
Yeah. Shout out to Cameron. Another one from her.
This is beautiful. Thank you for sharing your experience before and after healing. I'm surprised DBDS took this topic. I appreciate your platform. I recently left the red pill. It makes men look bad. I know, and I can tell you a huge sign he's red pills if he does not get in a relationship with you, but he still hooks up. Another sign is he has plenty of options. He'll be honest with you, talk to you about it, and ask if you're okay with it. Another sign is he wants you to chase him. He wants you to put in all effort while he puts in little to none.
It won't stop right there because it won't pull up the rest. I don't know why. It's odd. And I'll take one more.
Thank you, brothers, for this amazing show. Thank you all for your vulnerabilities. Shout out to my incredible husband, Floyd. Thank you for healing and becoming an incredible husband and father.
Yeah, shout out, baby.
Yeah. And I'll take one last one, man. Promise. Last one from a red pill. Okay.
Red pill taught me a lot, but I noticed myself becoming bitter towards women. I wasn't paying attention to the positives of bettering myself and finding my own space. Yeah,
wow.
That's what I'm talking about. Like I said, use it to wake up.
Yeah,
but don't. They say, we do something, get there, but don't stay there. Don't use it as a crutch.
There you go.
I think that's what Lawrence was saying earlier. Don't misquote. I don't want to misquote you, Lawrence. I think that was something you were saying, like use the red pill to get where you need to, but don't just continue to use that as a crutch.
See the world as is. We just have to hijack it back. I mean, it's too late to hijack.
Yeah, unhijack it. Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, take as they say, eat the meat, spit out the bones. It does have some good ideologies. It can help you wake you up. But if you find yourself becoming bitter, and this is true for everything, you break your arm, the doctor gives you medicine, but if that medicine starts to make you feel too good, and you need it when you're no longer healing, then you develop a problem. And I think that the red pill can have that same type of toxic way about it.
Yeah, I agree, man. This is why we need you, Lawrence, and Wesley Snipes back on Passenger 57, the sequel.
Listen, we need Wesley Snipes to do Blade, man. I don't know what's going on with that movie. We've been waiting for 5 years. They announced that 5 years ago, man. Where is the movie?
It did.
Listen, man, we're going to go ahead and take one last commercial break. When we come back, it's about that time for our Jerry Springer moment where we share our final thoughts for today's show. Don't you go anywhere. This is DBDS Live. right. Welcome back. Welcome back to DBDS Live. I'm your host, Jamel Lawrence, and I'm here with my DBDS brothers, Charles, my brother Floyd, my brother Lawrence, and the accountability coach, my brother Carl. And we've been talking about why the red pill community needs to go away, which is a much needed conversation. And if you enjoyed this episode, you can catch us on the Pure Moment Network. You can also catch us on Spotify, as well as our own page, dearbrothersdearsisters.com, if you want to catch up on these amazing episodes. Also, listen, DBDS has some great things coming very soon. So just make sure you stay within the group. Join us, DBDS, on Facebook, so you can get all the most frequent announcements. And also, you can join DBDS on YouTube. Just hit that subscription button. Make sure you hit that notification button, so that way you could be in the know as to what is going on with DBDS. Okay. But listen, this is about that time for our Jerry Springer moment, where we share our final thoughts for today's show. So first, I am coming to my brother Charles. Give the people who's watching your final thoughts for today's show.
How much time you got? No, if I could summarize in general, first of all, we talk about marriage. Marriage is ministry. It is serving, it is giving, it is sacrificing, especially for a man. From a biblical standpoint, man is called a sacrifice. Before we talk about submission, we got to talk about sacrifice. So first, marriage is ministry. Secondly, we talked about the red pill mindset is the women have done this, and this. All women are no good. The longer you spend time obsessing and blaming women, the less time you spend time self-reflecting and self-improving and embracing your greatness. So I'm encouraging all the men who are out there who've been discouraged by those challenging relationship outcomes to look at yourself, grow yourself, improve yourself. As we said many times, find a place of healing, therapy, counseling, so you can be better for the next round. Amen.
Thank you so much for your insight. And next, I'm coming to my brother Lawrence. What are your final thoughts for today's show?
First, thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here. I think that we had a great conversation, and I think our perspectives were definitely spot on. I still stand by the point that I think the red pill can be a great place. It can help you recognize where you're at, where you want to go, what the dating scene is truly at. And things that worked and didn't work, understand the legal and court systems, and decide whether that's something you really want to enter into another time, or for the first time. If you're a young man listening to this, I think that it definitely has some positives. I still maintain and stand by the point that it should be professionalized by therapists, by business leaders, by people who are positive and not just negative Nellies or those who are certainly just bitter. And I think that if we do that, or even if we develop something else to replace the red pill, because I do agree that it has gotten a bad reputation, but I think that the work still needs to be done, and we need to really heal some men, and really we need a good, strong men's space. We need that, a good, strong men's space to become the best versions of ourselves. Somebody brought up Kevin Samuels. I quote him all the time, and I'm glad that somebody brought him up, because he did the first 3 years of his ministry, I'll call it that, ministry, was talking to men. Get yourself together. You stop trying to date, stop trying to mess over these women until you get yourself together. And it wasn't until the message changed that he got all the attention. So when he was talking to men, nobody was listening. So we need to really recognize that. It's when he started talking to the women that people started to listen. So thanks again for having me. I appreciate it.
Okay, well said, my brother. Appreciate you, my brother. And Floyd, man, very, very great discussion, man. What is your final thoughts for today's show?
Man, just an honor to be able to be on this platform with all these brothers, man. Love you guys. I think each one of you guys are so incredible. I think that what Lawrence said is so important. Men have to have a space where they can talk about these issues. One of you guys mentioned several times, we heard that divorce is like going to a funeral. I think a lot of times, men, we suffer in silence. After the divorce is over, we're sitting there, we're wondering, what could I have done different? We're going through the whole plethora of emotions and my faults, and anger and stuff like that. You know, I think that if we are given an opportunity, like Carl said, we are not allowed to grieve. You know, we're supposed to just jump back in there, continue to work as a man, but we're human beings before we're men. And so I think that having a space like this, I really pray that a lot of the men that were listening, even the red pill men, would say, wait a minute, you know, let me do the work. You know, if their desire is to be in a relationship, to be married, that they do the work, and there is somebody out there for you that can give you an incredible life. I really like what Pastor Murphy said, that marriage is ministry. You know, we have to create a different narrative for our young men and for our young women, that marriage is possible if you do the work and trust the process. So I thank you guys for just having me here. Once again, love you guys. Appreciate you guys. And I believe and I know that somebody was helped tonight. So I thank God for that.
Man, very well said, my brother. Man, and Carl, man, another king takeover in the books. We still have not caught up to the queen takeover series. We have a long way to go.
Yeah.
Let's red pill him. Let's take it over. Let's red pill him. Let's take it over.
All right, man. The team is listening to this, Lawrence. It's coming after you, bro. Carl, man, what's your final thoughts for today's show?
Yeah, first I appreciate all the brothers who are on here tonight. And I think it's a lot of insight, you know, it's a lot of different things, you know, the transparency, where we're all at. And, you know, sometimes we think we're further along than we are, just different things. And, you know, and it's a good discussion because it's a good way to agree to disagree with different things, you know, on a lot of things tonight. But I think really at the end of it, we all agree there needs to be a safe space for men. There needs to be, you know, we need to be the leaders in our communities, in our households. But we can't get back there if we don't do what we need to do. Yes, there is the Willie Lynch syndrome. There is the civil rights, there is Jim Crow. All these different things we've combated. But as black men, and I'm going to say it this way, we're overcomers, and we have something in us that's not sometimes in the DNA of others, and we can do it. We just got to want to do it, and we got to come away from the foolishness. We got to come away from all the distractions of social media, the distractions of paying attention to the women that are not showing elegance, grace, and being a lady. I always hear, where the gentleman at, but you want to be with a lady. You want to be with someone who carries himself that way. But you have to qualify as a man. That means you got to get into your gentlemanhood, and you got to do the work. And I'm going to put this out here. I'll make it work. But I will open 2 slots to men. If you decide you want some help, I will open up 2 slots. We can discuss. You can go to dearbrothersdearsisters.com and go to where the coaching session's at. I will open up 2 slots to work with you. But trust me, when they say accountability, I'm accountability. I don't play with that. So maybe be sure that that's what you want to do. But we really, I think from tonight, I can see us going forward to trying to create a new safe space for men to come into, to understand that it's okay to grieve, it's okay to be hurt, it's okay, because we got a lot of guys on top of this who have not dealt with childhood trauma, and they continue to take that, what they saw, into their relationships, and they're wondering why they're not working. So there's so many different dynamics for us as men. We got to be able to be open and have a brotherhood, be able to give each other a hug, be able to tell a brother, hey, I love you, without it being weird, without it being, people say, oh, nah, I don't be doing that, just that. It's
no
not
Diddy
about that. You know what I'm saying? Right. Yeah, no Diddy. Yeah, no Diddy. No Diddy, no doubt. But for real, I think tonight's going to be the beginning of something bigger, bigger and better. And I think the 5 of us, and we just continue to add people who see the vision, because it's time for us to take our community back over. It's time for us to be business owners. It's time for us to be the community organization and leaders that were back in the day. It's time for us to have our own Tulsa, Oklahoma's again, our own Rosewoods again. We need to get back to those things, but we got to right now ship so we can steer the other ships.
Man, damn. Man, very well said, man. And we definitely going to continue. We may have to do a part 2 of this amazing topic. So before I leave everyone with my final thoughts, I just want to, as always, thank this amazing panel, because this is critically needed in today's modern society, especially in the Black community. So I just want to finish off and state that one of my favorite quotes is from Oliver Wendell Holmes, who is an American physician and poet, once said, a person's mind stretched to a new idea and never goes back to its original dimensions. And I think what that means is when you reprogram the present day red pill ideology, you soon begin to realize that this gender war is really done by design to keep us separated, which consists of the music we listen to, the images and television programs that we watch that promotes side-piece behavior, or even social media, which they use to instigate the constant gender war, because they know if we become a healthy unit, then it will change the dynamic shift in our community in a positive way. But first, my brothers, we have to listen. We have to embrace our leadership role in the world today, because if we can't lead ourselves, then we cannot lead a relationship. I mean, think about it. As I mentioned earlier, if this was your department head on your job, is it doing their job properly? First thing that'll come in is replace that department head, and the people underneath you working, they will follow someone else's leadership.
Can I?
So as I mentioned,
can I say something to that?
Yeah, go ahead, my brother.
I know we're doing the final thoughts, man, but I meant to say this before, man. But I was listening to this other stream similar to what we're doing here, and they were talking about something about feminism, and it was called ratchet feminism. Now, if you go over to Captain Hunter's podcast, I did a it's like an hour and a half. I broke down what ratchet feminism is, and I went to the scholars who put this out. Ratchet feminism, and it is. And you're talking about embracing and side chick behavior and the trash that's going on. These, and again, I'm saying this is part of the red pill, and it's part of the waking up, as you talked about, Mel, about what's just going on. They're designed to keep us separated, and a lot of these ladies, right, middle to upper class ladies, embracing bonnets on the public, twerking in public. And I'm telling you, and I read through the material. I read through it, so it's not like they can say I was taken out of context. I'm reading through this material that was put out by PhDs. So this idea that, this idea that we talked about as far as the marriages, there's an attack on men, an attack on marriages, an attack on wholesome traditional values, is being fully embraced by unfortunately many of our sisters who have these educated, elevated degrees. We talked about the more educated you are, the more likely you are to get divorced, and this is a part of the problem, is that they are becoming so. What does the Bible say? The more they profess themselves to be wise, the more they became fools, right? So this is it in real life. So I just think that I meant to say this before we were talking about it, but this is something that's going on. Teaching, these are teachings in college campuses, ratchet feminism. I'm not making this up, where they're here embracing Sexy Red, embracing Glorilla, and embracing Cardi B, and embracing this nonsense. I'll just leave it off there.
No, I understand that, my brother. And one thing I could say about what we stand for, DBDS, I would advise those that are watching for the first time to please take a look at the Queen's Takeover. We have a panelist full of women that represent traditional feminism, pure feminism, that compact all of that nonsense and rhetoric out there. And not only that, they talk about it, and they really, like Natima always states, they stitch them up and everything. They tell them the truth, but they stitch them back up. And what I love about their podcast is that not only that they bring up the issues such as the Sexy Reds and all of this consumerism that is affecting and plaguing our community, but they also offer solutions. So please, my brothers and sisters, make sure you subscribe to DBDS Live, and look at the 11, I think, Carl, it's about 11 or 12 queen takeovers that you can see. Oh my goodness, that you can see our sisters from a woman's perspective on how they break down how destructive it is to have that radical feminist mindset. Okay, so I do give shout out to the women out there that are open-minded and that are speaking against, they're on the front line and they are speaking, holding other women accountable. I salute you, and you have nothing but respect from DBDS, believe me. Okay, so with that being said, listen, DBDS every Sunday. Make sure you check us out. And Carl, man, take me away, my brother.
Take it away, Mel.
There we go. All right, Wesley Snipes, passenger 57.
Let's get that blade moving.